Elise Jefferson, a decorated Navy SEAL, walked into the Jefferson County Courthouse in Birmingham, Alabama, not in combat gear, but a tailored navy blue suit. Her presence, though devoid of visible medals, carried the weight of 1,000 silent battles. She wasn't there for recognition or decoration. She was there to testify, to support her cousin Dion Carter, a 21-year-old college student wrongly arrested during a so-called routine stop and frisk. What was supposed to be a procedural courtroom appearance turned into a catalytic explosion when Officer Rick Holston, a veteran cop with a record of suppressed complaints and unchecked authority, launched a violent, unprovoked attack against Elise. Holston didn't know who she was. He saw a confident black woman, silent and composed, and that alone triggered him. He struck her, knee to stomach, in full view of a packed courtroom. The silence that followed wasn't confusion. It was recognition or reckoning. What no one anticipated was that the woman now struggling to stand was not just a witness. She was the quiet architect of a storm that would upend the entire city's judicial and law enforcement infrastructure. The footage from that moment spread like wildfire. Multiple angles. 3 separate uploads. One from a covert body cam worn by Detective Aaron Wallace, who'd been planted in that courtroom under direct orders from Internal Affairs. Elise didn't retaliate. She rose calmly, adjusted her jacket, and uttered 8 words that became the catalyst of a national movement. "You have no idea who I am." Elise had served 12 years in the Navy, 9 in counterterrorism, 5 on a tactical SEAL team, so classified most civilians didn't know it existed. She'd survived ambushes in Kandahar, interrogations in Syria, and hostage negotiations in Manila. But this moment in an American courtroom was something else entirely. She'd walked into a room thinking she'd defend her cousin. Instead, she'd uncover an entire machinery designed to erase men like Dion and silence women like herself. The attack wasn't random. 48 hours before the incident, Holston received an unmarked memo: monitor and intercept. Elise Jefferson, possible operative. It wasn't departmental. It was political. Ghost orders, the kind whispered through channels without oversight. Holston, trained to act on instinct more than evidence, saw Elise as a threat simply because she didn't flinch. Aaron Wallace, watching from the back row, knew something was coming. He'd seen Holston escalate minor encounters for years always without consequence. But Elise didn't behave like anyone else. Her calm, her precision, her silent sight shook the room more than Holston's knee ever could. When Elise stood, she didn't just rise physically. She activated. Her military past gave her contact strategic, federal, political. Within hours, encrypted footage reached 3 trusted media outlets. By morning, Elise's name was trending. The video wasn't just viral, it was historic. But Elise didn't chase headlines. She chased patterns. She launched an independent investigation using Marcus Shaw, a cybersecurity analyst she'd once served with. Together, they uncovered a blueprint of corruption: ghost surveillance directives, redacted arrest logs, racial profiling algorithms licensed to private firms like Argonne Risk Solutions. They found predictive policing models disguised as community safety grants, with funding routed through shell companies to officers like Holston. And it went deeper. Councilwoman Bernice Lang, who had once called Elise a symbol of resilience, had personally approved the Argonne contract. Judge Harold Vance, who watched Elise get attacked in his courtroom, was on the advisory board of the very nonprofit laundering city funds into surveillance tech. The system wasn't broken. It was built. Elise refused to settle. A week later, she received an offer from Federal Liaison: Medal of Honor, public commendation, full expungement for Dion, and a tightly worded NDA. She declined. Instead, she launched the Jefferson Framework, a 4-pronged legal and civic initiative focused on civilian oversight, surveillance transparency, anti-bias training, and whistleblower protection. With Marcus, Aaron, and a growing team of activists, veterans, legal scholars, and students, Elise turned data into doctrine. The Jefferson Framework spread across states. It became curriculum in law schools, protocol in precincts, and the backbone of multiple city council hearings. One day, a teen named Marcus Williams, son of the state's attorney general, was pulled over while driving his graduation gift black Tesla. He was cuffed, questioned, humiliated. Within hours, the footage reached Elise. She didn't respond with outrage. She responded with structure. Marcus Williams became the next leader. Elise trained him, passed on the playbook, and watched from the shadows. Her impact was no longer about presence. It was about permanence. She opened a civic defense training center in Richmond, teaching high schoolers and returning citizens how to record traffic stops, demand body cam footage, and survive systems built to silence them. Her book, When the Law Fears the Truth, became a viral PDF, passed in classrooms, barbershops, courtrooms. She never signed it. It didn't matter. Years later, when she stood beside her father's grave, Jeremiah Jefferson, killed in a traffic stop gone wrong, she didn't bring flowers. She brought closure. A young boy recognized her, whispered, "I saw you on TV. You didn't hit back. You made them listen." He wrote her name in a notebook. "Only if you promise to write your own one day," she told him. By then, she was no longer a story. She was a strategy. She'd turned silence into curriculum, trauma into transformation. The Jefferson Framework wasn't just policy. It was a movement. When officers abused their badge, they knew her name. When students learned civil rights, they read her doctrine. And when courts reviewed systemic misconduct, they cited her footage. Elise Jefferson didn't build a revolution. She trained it, coded it, encrypted it, and let it walk away without needing her. And in the end, that was her victory, not being remembered as the woman who got kicked in court, but as the one who stood up after and never had to be seen again to keep the fire burning.